But now I think we're going to talk about Hunter Biden's business dealings, which we also mentioned at the top of the hour. In foreign countries, those business dealings look so bad that even MSNBC is sounding the alarms.
Yeah, that's something. According to Press Secretary Jen Psaki, though, President Biden still hasn't spoken with the DOJ about this.
Is it time to appoint a special prosecutor? Our next guest says yes. And joining us now, as promised, is President of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. Tom, thank you for joining us. Your thoughts on Garland having COVID or this latest information? And do you think that it's time to appoint a special prosecutor?
It's overdue, and it's a scandal one hasn't been appointed. There should have been a special counsel appointed. Frankly, even during the Trump administration, given the conflict of interest even that Trump's Justice Department would have had in investigating Biden. And now we have confirmation 6 ways to Sunday that Hunter Biden is under investigation. And we know from separate evidence that his father is implicated. And the regulations that we've all been lectured about during the Mueller appointment targeting Trump still are there. And they require special counsel when there is an obvious conflict of interest, like the one that is readily apparent when you have the Justice Department investigating conduct of the president's family that has, based on the reports, it looks like an indictment may be coming. I mean, do we want President Biden's political appointees to make those decisions, or do we want a special counsel as the regulations require? We've been pushing this. We have 350,000 signatures plus on change.org demanding a special counsel. And what's shameful is that Republicans have given short shrift to this issue, despite the glaring consequences and national security and other implications of this burgeoning scandal.
Well, if I'm reading this right, Tom, and correct me if I'm wrong, whatever Hunter did, and with those sleazy pictures of him from the laptop and the trying to sell himself because he knows people in power, his dad, all that's inappropriate, maybe unethical, doesn't look right. Don't know if it's illegal. But if you then connect it, if he indeed is the big guy, Joe Biden, that changes everything, right? And isn't that why there are people pushing for a special counsel? And if that's the case, can we expect a Biden presidency to lead to that?
I don't see how they avoid it, but, the rules change depending on who's running the show here in town. And the rules are different for Trump, and they would be different for anyone else other than Joe Biden. I think back to Jimmy Carter's administration. You may remember, Heather, you're too young. Bob, you probably remember, not that you're too old, about Billy Carter. He had these foreign entanglements. No one seriously considered that Jimmy Carter was personally involved in what Billy Carter was doing. But here we have this evidence where, Joe Biden was at meetings that, they were very much aware of and were pushing his activities as vice president in terms of getting these deals done. Hunter traveled on Air Force Two to China with Joe Biden. And we have evidence that Hunter was complaining about having to give portions of his income to his father and may have been paying bills for him. I don't see how they avoid.
Yeah, that's completely different. Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, Tom, because literally today on the producing team, I was going to make a reference to Billy Carter, and I thought, then I'm going to have to explain Billy Carter. I don't want to. It's too hard to do.
Well, just Billy Carter, Libya, Google it. People will figure it out.
That's right.
And that's what folks will be doing with Biden in the years to come.
But this is serious. If you're selling access to the highest levels of government, if possibly those people are actually in office at the time, if they are getting money for that, I mean, I don't know that that's what's happened, because isn't that the kind of the smoking gun or smoking check that we're looking for?
I don't know how you can say
when the monies are for no apparent business reason, and there are such exorbitant amounts, like he was getting for Burisma, and that.
Right. He ended up making an enormous amount of money when he left office.
Right, but he was also getting the money while his father was vice president, $50,000 a month.
That's Hunter. Yeah, that's Hunter. But I'm saying Joe Biden made a lot.
Right, and so what happens is you don't need to be getting the money directly if someone's giving money to your family member in order to influence you. It's still bribery. And it's part of it, I would call a racketeering operation, RICO, that implicates the father. And, whether he's going to be prosecuted by the Justice Department, I think is unlikely, given the thinking is you can't prosecute, the president can't be prosecuted criminally while in office by the own Justice Department. But maybe that's what impeachment's for.
Were you going to say something?
We're whistling past the graveyard on these corruption issues, I think. And the presidency could implode, if all the leads are followed according to what the facts and evidence suggest.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say 10 days after that trip that we showed 2013 where Hunter flew over to China with Joe Biden and their granddaughter.
Yes.
10 days after this particular trip, the Chinese government issued a business license for that new Chinese investment firm. What was it, BHR? That Hunter was trying to put together.
Yeah.
So you can't say it's not related.
We got to run. Well, we've got to prove it, right?
Right.
Or one has to prove it.
Well, and now we have the email recommendation to the father that was the Chinese business partner?
Right, to the president of Brown University.
Yeah.
So, just quickly before we go, we had an email out of the State Department just before Biden left office complaining about how the Russians were trolling Biden over his anti-corruption stance in Ukraine while his son was on the board of Burisma.
Right.
And the State Department official said Burisma is the gift that keeps on giving, with some sarcasm.
Okay. Tom Fitton, wish we had longer. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.